everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Stars of Big Sky Country, the series that spotlights the athletes that have had an impact at the high school, college, or professional level right here in the 406. And this episode is a great one because it's a guy who might be looking to have an impact two times now because he was here, a phenomenal high school athlete, then left to wrestle, and now he's back in Great Falls to continue his wrestling path. We're hitting the mat today with a former Bison. It is Irish Furthmyre. Welcome, man. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Stoked to be on here. Couldn't ask for anything else.
All right. So first things first. Let's see. Where do I want to start this one off at? Okay. Hot dog. Is it a sandwich? Why or why not?
Oh, I'm going with. I would say no.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't know. I don't know why I'd say no. Because they're like sideways buns, not. So,
Somebody said that a taco is just a Mexican sandwich, and so obviously the hot dog is like it's a sandwich. It's meat between two buns, and it's just like okay, but it's not the same. So,
yeah.
all
I,
right, we got one in the column for hot dog is hot dog, and a hot dog is category of its own. So,
there we
thank you
go.
for thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
But really, what I love asking everybody here, and I'm very excited about your answer. What is it like to be you, Irish Firthmeyer?
Oh, that's a big question. It's I don't really know how to. Let's go with adventurous. I moved around, so I grew up in Anaconda, different area, and then moved up to here. And then, like you said, I went to school in Kansas for a little bit. So for me, adventurous, I feel like I'm always meeting new people, meeting new teammates, just always doing something different. And that's what I have to say about that. Yeah.
For those
Yeah.
that don't know, on my reel that I share, my professional reel that shows a collection of my work from here in Great Falls, Irish is actually a part of that. He was on the football team, and I said, "Hey, I need you to do this thing where you put your helmet up against the camera and let out this yell and take off." And the funny story is that when he did it, it was perfect. It worked out great. Obviously, I kept it in the reel. I think it's
I
a
love that.
great wipe. But he came up to me afterwards. He's just like, "Hey, that didn't sound too girly, did it?" And I'm
No, I
like,
didn't want to sound bad, dude.
but no, he's always up for whatever you need of him, and he's like I said, phenomenal student athlete. So let's go ahead. We'll start with high school. Three-sport athlete for Great Falls High. You get to
Yeah,
play for
man.
Coach Cheetah on the football team, and then you're a wrestler and a great one in the state, obviously, because that's where you ended up signing to go and continue your athletic career was on the mat, and then you were doing all the jumping events in track and field. So kind of walk me through high school days of Irish Furthmyre and then why it settled on wrestling because I feel like you and I have had a few conversations about that, but it
Yeah.
always interests me to hear like, your reasoning why and how that came about.
I'll start here, I guess. But yeah, doing wrestling my whole life, it just seemed like it was not a necessary because I have so much love for the sport. So I love football and track as well, but wrestling, the love that I've had for it has been since I was 4 years old, since my dad brought me into the wrestling room, you know.
Yeah,
But
absolutely, man. But football, I mean, obviously you guys had a great time out there on the
oh
gridiron.
yeah.
That's like the team aspect of high school life for you since you didn't do a basketball, but track and field with the jumping events. I mean, how close was football to being where you were going to decide to pursue at the next level? Or was it even close, I guess?
It was I went on a visit, wasn't shutting any doors or nothing. It was an option. I think that for me through football, I ended up not maybe not convincing myself, telling myself that I mean I loved my coaches, man. I always loved Coach Cheetah, Coach Stoverud. My best friends were players, Ray Freed, Brandon Lockhart. Those guys were my best friends. So I feel like stepping onto the football field every day, getting to hang out with those guys, having amazing coaches, uh, was the best part of that for me.
That's awesome, man. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we can talk about Reed in a second because he's obviously tearing it up at
Oh
the
yeah.
next
I
level.
love watching it.
Dude, it's been so much fun.
It's pretty
But
cool.
But for you, so you do the three sports, you're a decorated athlete, wrestling is where your passion is, and then you go to Ottawa University. So you're
Mhm.
not going to stick around. You're not going to be one of the locals, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but clearly you had enough talent where schools outside of the 406 were looking at you being like, we need him, you know? And so things changed. But before we get to that chapter, you know, what was that conversation like? How did you hear about Ottawa, and what was the selling point to go there and wrestle?
Oh, man. Well, okay, so take you back a little bit, I guess. But my dad, every summer, he would give up a bunch of his time and money to send me on wrestling trips. And I did a month-long wrestling camp one time. And three of my buddies from that camp ended up going to Ottawa. And so ended up asking them for their numbers and ended up getting out there, you know?
So signing day comes along. I'm assuming that you met with the coach. What was it about
Yep.
that program that kind of sold you? Because you had friends there, of course, but I mean, you got to like it. You got to
Oh,
want to
yeah.
be there
Oh,
and
yeah.
wrestle for them.
The assistant coach, Coach Layden, he wrestled for Grandview, and for the people that don't know, they're continuously on the top in the wrestling NAI division for sure. And then my head coach, Coach Crank, great guy. You know, he's I miss him, but I love where I'm at too. But anyways, he was a national champ, and it was for me. It was a chance to step away and then also improve like individually. You know, I've always had such a great support system, and I took it as like I'm gonna go and he's won a national champ. He's gonna know what to do. I'm gonna have all my steps ready to go for me, you know. And that was it. And then the school itself was a small enough school for me to focus on academics too, you know. It's
Okay.
always it's always first. So
Yeah, man. I mean, you guys are getting a free education, so why not, you know, get educated on
yeah,
something you're interested in?
exactly.
I think a lot of people overlook that aspect of the athletics, you know, in college at that level. But so you go with Ottawa, and then there's a coaching change. And so what I wanted to really get to kind of pick your brain on is so many people I don't think realize just how important the recruiting aspect is of college sports, because there was that time where there was the rumor, will Jim Harbaugh go back to coaching for the NFL? And people are like, I mean, he could easily just leave and go and have another successful career. And people are like, well, no, not exactly, because Michigan has a lot invested in him and the kids that he's recruited, that he's brought on, that want to play for him and the Jim Harbaugh program. I mean, so obviously you're with Great Falls and the Argos because of a coaching change. Like, from your perspective, you know, for the people that don't know, just how big of an impact does that have on somebody who's looking to spend the next four, however many years at a university in a program when the coach decides to leave?
Yeah, that was the biggest reason why me and my teammates actually left the program. So because we had our assistant coach take a different job too. So with both of them, yeah, I signed there because of them. You know, like when you take that away from me, and you know, school's about to start. You don't know what's gonna go on. You know, I'm not. You don't know if you're gonna gamble or not your future. You know, like is the coach gonna be good? Is he gonna be bad? Um, what's he gonna do for your program? You know, is he gonna take you to the tough tournaments? Is he gonna bring in the good partners that you need to get better every day? And so that was a big thing is once those coaches were gone, you know, I was not quite set in stone, but it was a good possibility that I wasn't gonna stay around there.
That's got to be tough, man. So you had your family, Coach Cheetah, and other coaches obviously walk you through the process of deciding to go to Ottawa. And now I'm guessing you made a couple of phone calls being like, hey, here's the situation. What do you think I should do? Like, how did your decision come from, you know, this is my first year, so I could stick it out with this program now that I'm here and see how it goes? Or I can pivot and go where I know there's another really good program that's actually closer to home and use my talents there. I mean, what was that process? Was it quick? Was it long? Like, what happened with you there?
Ooh. It was a lot the longest I could make it, the process at least. I only had a good 2 weeks because it was so close to when school started. But no, yeah, I talked with my dad. Those were freaking those were the talks that I needed probably the most, and it came down. I mean, Coach Comack, he's been around since I moved here, and
Oh yeah.
phenomenal coach. He's amazing. There was no doubt in my mind. It was either stay in or Providence because of that guy and the people he brought in. But it came down to me as like my family being around. My little brother's still in high school. And I saw at the game. I love supporting him. He's a freaking animal when he wants to be. He can be too nice sometimes. The support system really was a big thing for me, and setting up for my future being home.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, even though you're there, you've spent a year now at Ottawa, and the decision probably wasn't ideal to have to make, but making it was probably easier because, coming back home where you have such a strong support system, the coaches, the program, that part was probably easy, but it was probably still a little difficult to say goodbye to something that you decided, hey, I'm going to go try this thing that not many have tried. To recap, like what was, I guess, sum up your year there with Ottawa, and anything that you took away from that experience.
Man, I had a great year there at Ottawa, so I don't want to take nothing away there. Some of my highlights, man, I'd say one was like the first week I showed up to campus with my little brother and my dad, and the whole team was ready to go and told me to come hang out. Some of my best friends still. Dayton Hill, Francis Morrissey. If you ever hear those names, those guys. First second I saw them, they're telling me to come hang out with them, put my wrestling shoes on, and that's when I knew I liked that place. But another memory, conference last year was pretty cool. That was the first time. So I started with my red shirt actually last year,
Oh,
and
okay.
ended up taking it off. And so that was my first time at like a tournament, the tournament level, being able to compete with those kind of guys and watching my teammates, qualify for national. It was like divisionals going to state, but instead conference to nationals. So that was like really cool to watch too, watching some of my buddies, punch their ticket to nationals and stuff like that.
That's
Another
awesome.
highlight moment. Yeah.
Last thing I want to know about your experience in Ottawa, things you'll miss about Kansas.
We actually fundraised the Jayhawk football games. So we worked them, but we were able to, watch them if we could sneak our head around the corner a little bit. And then definitely the Chiefs games, you don't have that kind of entertainment around here. So
Okay, all right.
that stuff
So,
was pretty cool.
gotcha. Yeah, and that's a pretty good list.
This episode of Stars of Big Sky Country is brought to you by Russell Country Federal Credit Union, where they believe in helping you and your children achieve financial success while building a better community. They want to be your financial home, so stop in at their Great Falls or Fairfield office and get started on your new account today.
So now we'll switch gears to bringing it back home. But before we get to the next chapter of the Book of Irish, this is, of course, a series about the great state of Montana, Big Sky Country. So you being, from Anaconda and the places that you've been, like what impact, like how has Montana and even Great Falls specifically, if you can narrow it down that far, how has that shaped you to being the Irish Furthmyre that we know now, wrestling for
Yeah.
University of Providence?
Well, I will say this, like probably not even a week being in Kansas, at Ottawa, I was like, man, there's no mountains, there's no cool skies. It was pretty boring to look at. So I was like, oh, I miss that stuff. But oh man, brings me home. I love the outdoors, man. I love to my dad has a speedboat. We take that out when we can in the summer, but hiking, I love to go hiking. We got paddleboard. My dog ever wants to get on it with me, and a couple canoes. Take those out. There's so much to do here in Montana. That's not sitting on your PlayStation, Xbox. Yeah, there's so much to do. So take advantage. You didn't have that in Kansas. It was pretty.
I spent a year in Nebraska, and there's only so many times you can look at a cornfield and be like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
no
that's a great cornfield." Like,
kidding. I
we,
see what you're saying.
yeah. So we moving from Spokane, and obviously you have Idaho right there, and the eastern side of Washington is very much like what you see in Missoula, and then Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene, and so we had access to all those. And when we moved to Sioux Falls, it got a little less mountainy and a little more fieldy. And then Nebraska, it was just flatness,
Yeah.
with corn and tornadoes. And we missed, yeah, it's crazy. You miss the mountains. You miss
You really do.
streams and clear water. Clear water, man. Yeah, you miss that. Not standing water ponds and stuff. But
Yeah.
I totally, when you started saying that, I was like, I totally get where he's coming
Yeah,
from.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as you as an athlete, is there, I'm always curious because there's like Texas tough and there's like Midwest tough, but you're Montana tough through and through. Was that relevant or was that obvious when you
Oh,
went to
man.
Kansas? Like,
It
what's
was
the
obvious.
differences here?
It was obvious for me, man. Like, the practices were it was I wouldn't say easier there, but just for being back, the Montana tough is the thing. These kids can get hit in the face a little bit more. They can push a little bit harder. It's definitely a thing. I believe in Montana tough, especially from leaving. From
Wow. Okay,
yeah,
there is such a thing as Montana tough, and Irish
uh,
has seen it on full
confirming it.
display.
Oh yeah.
What was the softest thing you ever saw anybody do when you were in Kansas, your brief time there, that you were just like, man, like we aren't even the same level?
Oh, for me, it's the in practice, the wheezing and almost crying. Yeah, because you're 20 years old, dude, or come on, man, like you're a grown adult. You shouldn't be wheezing and crying right now. Got to be tough.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wheezing and crying.
you don't see that here. Montana kids are tough. They shut their mouths, so they'll keep.
This is great. Okay, this is shaping up to be one of the best interviews yet. All right, so that's how Montana has shaped you. It's made
Oh,
Irish
yeah.
Montana tough. Oh, where? Okay, is that a family name? Irish? We're gonna pivot real
It
quick
is
here.
not. It is
It is
not. My
not.
dad is
Okay,
the biggest Notre Dame fan ever.
there we go. I was like,
Uh,
it's got to be something like that,
yeah,
like a.
little brother Damon. I take the N off the end there, and it's just Dame for Notre Dame.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was his thought process there too. So
I like your dad already. Simple. Keep it simple. Dude,
yeah, he's a good guy.
when we talked about baby names back in the day, it was I was dead set on if it was a boy, I wanted Bruce. And she's like, why Bruce? And I was like, well, first and foremost, Bruce, you can do baby Bruce and then boy Bruce and even grandpa Bruce. Like it doesn't sound
For
weird. Like,
sure.
somebody made the joke Scottie Pippen, like as a grandpa sounds Grandpa Scotty, kind of different. But I
Yeah,
said, but the most important thing is that Bruce is the first name of the two greatest superheroes ever, Batman and the Hulk. All
there
right.
you
So see, I get where your dad's coming
Batman, I
from.
love it.
Full respect on the naming process there. That's yeah, well done. All right. Your family is awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
So
man.
now let's go ahead and bring it home to Great Falls here. Providence, you're back home. It's your second year. Obviously, we're getting ready for the season to be in full swing now. I mean, how stoked are you to be not only back so close to your support system, but wrestling in a city that has made you into the athlete you are and has such a great program that can use your talents to the fullest?
Man, I think I love it because those people that did help me, in my younger days, they can come keep supporting me, and in a different way. They don't have to Coach Carranza, Coach Zwift, they don't have to be in my corners coaching me anymore. They could be in the stands. And I can still get to talk. I could still talk to them after, it's not like I'm in Kansas, they're right there. I can say what's up and show my appreciation.
That's awesome, man. So,
Yeah.
I mean, was there a phone call that you made to Comac? And I assume it was like, I say less, like just get here.
Yeah, no, I was actually home, so I didn't plan to come back, and I was actually home. I'm like, Comac, I want to have a conversation now. Like, let's start talking.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Just like that. All right, man.
like
Well,
that, man.
so we're happy to have you back. I cannot wait for some of the meets this year for Providence. And it looks
Yeah,
like Aiden Graves already doing
yeah,
fantastic. I had an interview with him while I was working at the news station. Great guy, great young athlete. So you guys,
um,
man, that's going to be exciting to watch. So
oh, yeah.
I'm stoked for that. But now let's go ahead and get into some of the fun stuff. We've already had a lot of fun here talking about what makes Kansas soft compared to Montana tough. But okay, so you were on a team with Reed Harris, and he's having all this success right now. He's being featured on Monday Night Countdown. He's having a great second year. But what's like an embarrassing or funny Reed story that you have from your days in the Bison locker
Oh,
room with him?
oh man. I don't know. I don't know if I should. Oh, there was one time we were lifting weights. It was like 7 in the morning too. We were taking to 7 a.m. and it was me, Lockhart, and Reed all at his station, and Reed's comes blasted in with he's got a headband on, his cut off shirt, and he starts freaking whipping Lockhart with his shower towel, messing with him. It was funny, it's just I don't
See,
know. It's what sticks in my head of Reed because
oh, and that's perfect because I've interviewed Reed, 2 or 3 times, and he's very well composed, he's very well spoken, and he's
good.
very down to earth and serious. So I love stories like that because it's like they can get out of character from time to time and have
100%.
fun. And I've heard some Reed stories, and they're all funny, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
funnier because you don't expect that from him.
Oh
So
no.
so I appreciate you sharing that, you
Get him
guys.
out of his shell, man. He's not this.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta break that shell.
But man, he's having a great second year, and now you're entering your second year. A lot of you guys from that class, I think, were very much the tone setter for Cheetah's football team. I spent a lot of time with Cheetah on the field, obviously at Memorial Stadium during the Bison games, and he's just always got your guys' well-being at the forefront of his mind. But you had been coached by a different coach up until that point was Samson. So that wasn't that wouldn't be the last time that you'd experienced things under two different coaches in the same kind of athletic window. So do you think that kind of prepared you for what you ultimately had to do going from Ottawa to Providence, or was that kind of a completely
I
we're
would
talking
say it's
apples oranges?
Yeah, I'd say it's more apples oranges just because one, like Cheetah was my assistant coach before and he
Fair enough.
stayed. And
Yeah.
then two, it was like I didn't have a choice really, I guess. I would never go to CMR
Oh
ever,
man.
ever.
Okay, so that's a question I'll ask you because we haven't really talked a lot about the crosstown rivalry on the show. I feel like we should have by now, but I've
Yeah.
talked to both Great Falls High and some CMR athletes. How real does the rivalry get? Because obviously, when we talk with you guys, there's oh, we're friends at the end of the day and blah blah blah. And I'm thinking, I was in high school once upon a time, and I remember everybody being friends with everybody at the end of the day. So like
Yeah.
why is that rivalry so good in your mind?
I mean, it is a lot of it is bragging rights, but I don't even know what makes it so big. I think some kids start chirping their mouths. You hear it everywhere because you live in the same town. I don't know. It's like maybe walk for us. It was like you walk with more pride. It gave us a little chip on our shoulders. I don't know what they talk about, but
Well, I'll ask you the question that I asked AJ LaFerge, another three-sport athlete who did the same three sports that you did. When it comes to the three that you can experience, so it's crossing the goal line or breaking the plane for a touchdown and hearing the crowd pop for the score, seeing the referee's hands raise, or if it's hearing the hands slap the mat and the crowd pop when you get a pin in wrestling, or when you cross the finish and you hear the crowd for finishing first, or I guess for you for jumping the highest, which I've been at some of those like high jump events where it comes to a jump off and people get into it. Well, what is your favorite as an athlete personally? I feel it's probably wrestling, but I'll just ask just for argument's sake.
oh yeah, it's definitely when you get that hand raised and wrestling. It's the best feeling, I think.
Was there a favorite match or a win that you had as a Bison?
So I'll give you two. I'll give you my crosstown one.
Oh, okay.
And I had a match, Mining City, is against a kid from Missoula. His name's Izzy Marino. He's up at UNI doing great too. He's freaking kicking butt. But and I ended up getting a reversal like last second, and that was probably like, oh, that was the coolest thing ever. Just because it was like, I finally just kicked it into gear, and that win was like, you're doing it right, keep going. And then we'll go to Crosstown. I think it was sophomore or either junior year. I can't remember, but I was wrestling Calvin Carroll, and it went into overtime, and I got the takedown like right with like maybe 10 seconds left in overtime. It was just cool, you know. Everyone goes to that event, and in the old gym at Great Falls High, it's awesome. It's so loud.
Yeah, it is. I've
It
been
was
to
sweet.
a couple of meets in the old gym, and it does get loud in there. For you, when it comes to rivalry, obviously you participated in the big one, crosstown football. It's the one that gets the most hype because it's football. But then you were in wrestling, and that's got to be kind of a different feeling when you win, even if it's not like a team win. It's like you're beating someone one on one that is a school rival. What was that like for
Mhm.
you?
Oh man, I mean, I, I don't know if I should. I okay. So I would say for me, it was always like it, football was more stressful, to be honest with you. Wrestling was always, you know, I love wrestling, but football was always more stressful. And I'll just say I think it's because like the Great Balls Eyes got a good like 30 something streak going. So,
Okay.
you know, makes that a little bit less stressful.
Well, I could see that in the way of with football, it's a team sport. You can't control the other 10 guys on your side of the
Uh-huh.
ball, where with wrestling, yeah, there's a team win at the end of the day, but you control like
Yeah,
that's what you got to go in there to do. And I
exactly.
I still don't know how we never got AJ LaFerge and Irish Furthmyre, because weren't you guys just like 5 pound difference or something?
Yeah, I think my senior year I went up to 52. He was 70.
Oh, okay. So there was a little bit of
Couple weeks.
difference there,
We did
but
wrestle in middle school. It was his first
oh,
year wrestling though.
how is that? How is that? I want the dirt.
I don't remember the score or nothing, but I had like 6 or 7 years of wrestling on it too. So
He misses it, and man, yeah,
good.
I wish we would have gotten Irish Firthmire versus AJ LaFerge, but that's okay. Who are you now that you've been around in the NAIA? Is there a wrestler that you can't wait to stand across the mat from?
Oh yeah. So if I this year I with Embry Riddle, they've got a kid ranked like fourth.
Ooh.
Sixth, fourth. He's up there. You know, they change so much, and I'm not very good at that stuff, keeping up with it. So he's up like top eight, and that's one kid I want to get at. But you know, national duels, opportunity to wrestle any of the kids that are ranked, you know, top 10. Be
Do you know
great.
what your rank is?
I am not ranked right now.
Not ranked yet.
Not
Okay.
ranked.
That's
Nope.
exciting. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
there's like three of us at 49 could be in there. So just need our opportunity, you know.
All right, man. Well, I can't wait for you to get it. So, I do want to know, since every locker room is kind of different, every pre-event or game is different. What's the strangest like wrestling warm-up you've ever witnessed? Or do you have a weird one yourself?
I mean I don't know if I have a weird one. I'd say it's different. A lot of people just walk back and forth. You know, I'll go in the corner and say my prayer to the Lord. You know, I love that. And then I'll put in some like happy music. You know, Katy Perry, something like that.
What?
Yeah, and then I'll just kind of like I'll try to keep a smile on my face. You know, not get stressed out.
Okay,
What's
what Katy Perry song? I got to know this now.
Well, I think I think the last video I said fireworks was the one playing in there. Fireworks by Katy Perry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was going to be Roar or something like
Oh no. Oh, no.
that.
Hey, as long as it's happy music, man, it'll keep me smiling. Have fun.
Wow. Oh, this interview is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so happy music, which includes but not limited to Katy Perry and fireworks. Okay, what
Yeah.
else is on that playlist?
We'll go like I'll throw like Mr. Brightside on there. You know, that
Okay,
song's
okay.
good. Sometimes mix it up, I guess. We'll go with AC/DC every once in a while.
All right. Well, if you were a professional wrestler, WWE style, what would you want your entrance song to
A
be?
walkout song to be? Ooh. That's tough. Because personally, I think I'd be the one of the guys to wear a mask.
Really?
But we'll do like "Run This Town" by Jay-Z.
Okay,
It's
okay.
iconic to me, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it for sure. Oh, you'd wear a mask.
I
Okay.
feel like I'd be like Rey Mysterio or something. I have one of the masks on.
That's awesome. All right, well, that does segue us nicely into one of the last questions here, which is, what's next for Irish Furthmyre? You've got some time left with Providence, of course, but beyond that, we just had the Olympics. Wrestling's a big event. It's kind of making a comeback. There's a few different avenues you can take as a wrestler. Have you given any thought to that? And what is next for Irish that you know of?
Yeah, man. I'm getting my business degree here, so but my goal for wrestling, it's never second or third. My goal is to be on that top of the podium. Be a national champ and get done with looking down the road. I don't want to plan too hard, but getting the business degree, and really see where the world takes me.
So is there an avenue in business that you see yourself? Like a
You
type
know,
of
just
business or a
keeping it
position?
open. I'm social. I think I did business management. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So you
run.
can run an Irish pub that your dad
There
can
you
be
go.
at every Saturday to watch the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Exactly.
And then
Unless
have,
it's playoff week, you don't go around him when it's playoff week or a
oh,
good
yeah.
game.
Yeah,
Then
I
he's
could
just
see
mean.
that.
Kid.
Well, it's probably a very obvious question, but I mean, how far would you like to take your wrestling career, knowing that there's the Olympic style of wrestling, and like I said, Olympics are kind of making a comeback, but it's once every 4 years, but there's still nationals and things like that. Or you can go have your walkout song and pyro and the top rope and all that. Like, what is there a place you
Yeah.
see yourself?
Well, I mean, if I'm driven, it'd be a cool experience to, train at that Olympic level. Especially from Bill Zadick, Great Falls native. So that would be something pretty cool. I really want to change the community around here. I want to start my own wrestling club. I want to give little kids the opportunity that my father gave me, growing up. My dad was able to send me to, there's a big tournament in Nevada. There's some across on the East Coast, North Carolina, Florida. He did everything he could to send me to those tournaments. So what I see in my future is giving back to like what I was able to do. I get these kids chances that I was given, because now I'm a college athlete, and it paid off. So
Yeah, it did, man. You were so much fun to watch on the field and wrestling.
thanks.
Like I said, can't wait to come and watch you wrestle for Providence. I'm so happy that you're back. I know a lot of people are very happy that you're back, including Kai Stewart gave you a shout out on Instagram, said you were a dog, man. That's got to
I
be,
know.
I mean,
That's
not
great.
only a rival, from CMR to acknowledge you like that, but he's
Yeah.
made a career out of proving people wrong and bare knuckle fighting, and he knows that how good wrestlers are as athletes.
Yeah.
So,
He's one of the best, man.
yeah,
He's
dude.
kicking butt, but yeah, he actually helped me. So he was a North Montana club wrestler with me and got me a lot better in my younger days.
Nice, dude. Okay,
Yeah.
so kind
Small
of,
world.
yeah, what a world for sure. Well, I know that one thing that I have thought about in my time here in Great Falls, Montana as a whole, is that the one thing I feel is missing from a state that would love it is a wrestling circuit, a
Yeah.
wrestling league, because Washington has a couple, even South Dakota had one, Omaha and Nebraska had a bunch of them. I'm sure you probably knew of a few in
Oh yeah.
Kansas, but Montana does not have an independent wrestling circuit or league, and I would love to start one. So get your business
Be
degree,
cool.
keep wrestling, dude. We'll talk about that because I think that's something
Big
that we
business
could
going.
pack the house, man, for
There
sure.
you go.
All right, but that's a little further down the road. For right now, Irish Furthmyre is going to hit the mat for the University of Providence Argos. Dude, I can't thank you enough for being here. This has
Yeah,
been
man.
seriously one of the funnest interviews that I've done in this series yet.
Good, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much again. So that'll do it for another fantastic episode of Stars of Big Sky Country. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We're on all the major platforms for podcast form, and you can see us if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is the F.A.N Show. So for Irish Furthmyre and the University of Providence Argos, I am, of course, the team man, Richard Tiemann. And until next time, you can catch us among the stars of Big Sky Country. We'll see you next time.